Okay, I'm just continuing where we left off. So, the first thing we have on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is the freedom of media. So, freedom of media and press is similar to the freedom of belief, opinion, and expression. In Canada, the media has freedom to publish information for the public without interference from the government. However, this freedom is not absolute. Journalists may not publish hate speech or speech that promotes terrorism. Freedom of association. So in Canada, you can get together and associate with anyone you want. With this freedom, the government and law enforcement cannot stop you from starting or being part of a group, as long as what you are doing is not illegal. So individual members are protected under the charter. This freedom is often used to protect groups or workers or unions. Next, we have freedom of peaceful assembly. So the last part of the fundamental freedoms is the freedom of peaceful assembly. Many Canadians voice their opinions through peaceful protests each year in hopes of changing rules and laws in Canada. If you would like to protest an issue and stand up for your beliefs, you can do this in Canada as long as you do it peacefully. There's freedom for religion. Canadians have the right to choose their religion or beliefs. Unlike some other countries in the world, in Canada, the government allows you to choose any religion or beliefs that you want. You cannot be punished or treated unfairly for your religious beliefs. There's also freedom of belief, opinion, and expression. So, another fundamental freedom in this section of the Charters is the freedom of belief, opinion, and expression. This is often misunderstood as freedom of speech, like we have been talking about. Unlike the American idea of free speech, Canadians are able to hold or share their beliefs as long as they do not promote hate or discrimination. We may not agree with another person's opinion, however, in Canada, we are free to believe it. Then now we are going on from the freedom part to the rights. So let's start with equality rights. Equality rights are also important. They're a right, but they are also a responsibility. Every Canadian has the right to be treated the same as everyone else. No person or groups of people get better treatment than others. Canadian citizens also have the right to live in a country free of discrimination. It is our responsibility to treat others with respect by not discriminating against them. A citizen cannot be discriminated against on the basis of their age, gender, religion, or disability, for example. There's also democratic rights. Canada is a democracy, which means that Canadian citizens gather together to choose elected officials to run the country for us. In our democratic society, citizens vote for people to represent their local area. We elect one representative from one of the four political parties for our provincial and federal governments. The political party with the most representatives elected in the general election takes power of the government. The leader of that political party becomes premier, provincial, or prime minister, which is federal. In this type of democracy, citizens have a say about who runs our government. Legal rights. Every Canadian is entitled to freedoms and rights, even those who are in trouble with the law. Canadians have the right to be treated fairly by law enforcement. That means that they must have a warrant, a good legal reason, before they are allowed to search your property. Law enforcement must have a good reason for your arrest, including evidence to support an arrest warrant. As a Canadian being arrested, that does not mean that you are guilty. You have the right to defend yourself with a lawyer. However, even if you are guilty and sent to jail, you have the right to be treated justly. You cannot be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment while in jail. Mobility rights. If you are a Canadian, you can live in any province or territory in Canada. You are allowed to move around the country freely, also with a passport. You are also allowed to leave Canada and come back when you need to. These rights and freedoms to move around are known as mobility rights.